Okay, thanks for coming back. This is COMM1160, week 9. This is video number 2. And in this video, I wanted to talk about outlining. So, outlining is like your skeleton. So, if your thesis statement is the heart of your essay, the outline that you produce before you start writing really works as a skeleton. A lot of people, and I have to admit, I was one of these people who was guilty of this before, think that outlining is a waste of time. So they're given an essay assignment or they have a writing task and they want to jump right into it, right? So they're eager and they're ready to go, or they don't want to waste time. So they don't actually sit down and outline. This is a big mistake, okay? Outlining really, really helps, and it helps you produce a solid essay. The problem is that nobody usually ever sees your outline, right? They only see your end product. But it's just like what a body would look like without a skeleton. If your skeleton were sucked out of your body would just be a little pool of, skin and fat and organs all sort of flopping around all over the place. Your skeleton is what gives you structure, and your outline is what structures your essay. So it really is an important part. It also helps your brain, okay? Because if you have an outline, in a weird kind of way, you've almost written the essay without actually having written the essay. So it frees you up later on for when you actually need to do the writing so that your brain can just focus on the writing. In terms of outlining, there's various ways to do it. The readings that I asked you to look through show one way, okay? But there's different ways. So if you, again, just, pause the video at this time and take 5 or 10 minutes and just Google outline or outline templates, you'll see that there's tons of different styles and formats. So some use numbers, some just use bullet points. There's different ones that incorporate graphics, if that's what you like. There's no one best way, okay? And whatever style you choose is a personal decision. So it's up to you in terms of how you work it. But no matter what style you choose, okay, it should be point form. So the idea with an essay is not that you're writing out full sentences, okay? A few full sentences, yes, because you'll have your thesis statement, and then we'll talk about it. Each of your body paragraphs will have a topic sentence. But in terms of the information and the content, you want to do that in point form, okay? Just to reduce the amount of time and just to focus on the ideas at this stage rather than the writing. Okay, so the only full sentences that you write for an outline are your thesis statement, your topic sentences for each of your paragraphs, and a closing remark. So again, as I mentioned before, the idea is to build the foundation of an essay without actually writing the essay. Okay, or think of it like a point form version of a rough draft. In terms of outline parts, okay, you're going to have one part of your outline that's going to deal with your introduction. And for an outline, or at the stage of an outline, what you want to have down is your working thesis statement. If you took 30 minutes or so at the end of the last video to craft a thesis statement, you already have this part of the outline done. Okay, so you're set to go. The body is where you're going to talk about each of the variables or each of the groups that you've identified in your thesis statement. So you want to, and this is where the majority of the work is going to come in for the outline, write a topic sentence for each paragraph. Okay, and remember that a topic sentence is just a declaration of the topic for that paragraph. Okay, so I might say something like gastrointestinal symptoms, right, are common with the flu. Period. That basic. Okay. But then what I want to do is I want to include the detail that I'm going to use in point form. So the proof, okay, or the evidence that I'm going to be using from the research, I want to write that down in point form. Writing it in point form really helps because then I'm not tempted to plagiarize or accidentally plagiarize. I'm going to be writing from point form, so I'm automatically going to be paraphrasing. Okay, so ideal. Don't just copy exact quotations from your research sources. Try to put it in your own words, okay, or record in point form. You also, in the body of your paragraph, want to keep track of your in-text citations. This makes things much, much easier later, so that when you're writing, you don't have to go back and flip through to find out where you read stuff. You have it automatically down. And your conclusion, okay, when we come to outlining, really should just have your final thought written down. And your final thought is going to be the last sentence of your essay where you sum everything up. Okay, so you might want to make some type of a philosophical statement about your topic, something that rounds it out. This is more difficult, okay, because it's always hard. It's easier to begin something than to end it. But if you have a plan for what your last sentence might be, your writing eventually is going to go really, really smoothly. So what does an outline look like? I have given you an outline example under course documents, and I'm just going to open that up and just review it here on the video with you quickly. Just take me a second here to find it. Here it is. So I've made up a syndrome that I'm calling blah syndrome, okay? And I'm going to show you an outline that I put together for this syndrome. But first of all, I just wanted to show you how I moved from my thesis statement to my topic sentence. So my thesis statement was blah syndrome can be treated with a combination of physical interventions, psychological therapies, and self-care methods. Then I used that thesis as a skeleton for my topic sentences. Okay, so again, I'm not, doing anything radically difficult here. I'm just going back and looking at the thesis and making sure that my topic sentences match up with the variables or the groupings that I talked about in the thesis statement. Then when it's time to write the outline, what I've done is I've come up with a working essay title, and I call it a working title because you will have the freedom to change the title later. So it can be something as basic as symptoms of X or treatments for X. Okay, it doesn't need to be fancy at this stage. And then my working thesis statement for my introduction. Then for each paragraph, and I've only in this example completed the work for one paragraph, but you will be doing this for each planned body paragraph. So remember I said you want to find 3 or 4 groups or categories or variables that you want to talk about. You're going to do a plan for each of those. I'm going to list out my topic sentence, and then here's my detail, okay, in point form. Right, and notice again, right, I have included my APA in-text citations so that later when I'm writing, I don't need to go back and look at that. And then finally, to finish, I came up with a memorable or a concluding statement that I'm thinking I might use to finish my essay off. Again, I'm not marrying this, okay? So again, it's just working rough work. If I decide I don't like that statement later, I can change it, right? I can get rid of all of it if I want to, but at least I've got a plan in place. Okay, so I don't think you can go wrong if you think of the outline as something that you want to build for yourself, a skeleton that you want to build for yourself that you can use to write from later. Okay, so it's like a plan or a blueprint that you're going to use to build up an actual essay. I'm going to ask you to spend the rest of your time this week, because it is a fairly lengthy assignment, to build an outline for yourself. Okay, so you've come up with a thesis statement. That work is done. I'm going to ask you now to go through and build an outline. The style that you use or how you format it, entirely up to you. Okay, because the outline is a very personal thing. And you can pick whatever style you like or whatever look to it that you want. But I will go over the requirements for the assignment in the next video. I'll talk to you in video number 3.